What's going on YouTube? This is Tyrone Trinity, the Diesel Soldier, and today we're going to go take a look at some of the tools that I bought that I feel like I wasted my money on. Alright, let's go. Alright guys, before I start this video, I'm just going to let you guys know that this is just my perspective because I don't feel like I'm using this tool enough for me to buy, and I feel like some of these tools are just way too much money for something that I barely use or rarely use. So alright, let's go ahead and start with number one. So the first tool in this list is going to be, I know some of you guys are going to hurt on this, but the Milwaukee Fuel. And I know it looks hella dirty, but it looks dirty because I just moved this around my box and I don't really use it. I use it a couple of times first, and other than that I don't really use it at all because first it's just too underpowered. I don't think 250 pounds, or that's what it's claiming at least, is enough for a 1/2 inch anvil. If it's maybe if it's a 3/8 drive, maybe I will utilize its full potential, but because it's a 1/2 inch, I feel like it's a little bit underpowered. And my advice is, if you guys are thinking about buying it, think about what you use for it. If you're using for high torque situation, this is not gonna be it. If you're just using it for like maybe mid torque, I don't know if this is the best option you got. My best option you can buy is an Air from Capri or the Astro Tools Flex Nano Flex Head 1/2 inch Flex Head Impact, and that is more affordable and more user friendly than this, because to utilize its full power you had to use a 6 amp battery, and using a 1.5 amp battery from Milwaukee is just not going to be enough to use its full potential. So that's my number one. Let's go to the next item. So the next tool that I feel like I wasted my money on is, when I bought this tool I really had high hope for it, but it's just like full of disappointment to me, and I don't think it's made for a high leverage situation, but it's not really for high leverage stuff, and that is the mountain wrench. Or some of you guys probably bought the Easy Red version, or some of the, there's a lot of version of this, and it's made from the same factory. But these tools right here are one of those tools that it's not utilizing what it's made for. Okay, so when you have a tool that with this much leverage, it's used for high leverage purposes. But this tool right here, every time I use it for high leverage purpose, it just breaks. And I know some of the people say, well, it's not made for high leverage situation. Well, what is it used for then? Maybe tight reach spaces, yes, but then again, tight reach spaces can be a pinnacle sometimes, because you still need some leverage on certain situation. Granted that this is reversible, and that's cool, that's good, but again, it's just it's not using its full potential, because it's supposed to be for high leverage purposes, but you can't use it for high leverage purposes because it's just too fragile. But luckily though, is the Mountain is really responsive with their warranty. I did buy this in Amazon, and when I break the 1719 the first week using on a differential on a Zuzu, they send me another one for after 3 days for free, And if you guys don't believe me, this is the one that I broke, and this is how it breaks right there. And yeah, you know, and I mean it's still function as a tool. You just gotta break it in there. Still ratchet. You can probably still use this. And I told them that I broke this. They sent me another one, which is this one. I would still keep this in my toolbox for work. Maybe one day I will use it, but I've used this once, like this tool right here, once, and this is it. And I'm afraid to use it in any situation because it might just break and I might just throw it away. But I'm not gonna give it away. I paid $150 for this, so I guess it's a waste of money. So if I were you guys, I will sleep on this, and I would suggest to buy the Matco offset wrench with the ratcheting head, with the flex head wrench, and then a fixed head and box end on the other side. I think that's more of a deal. I know it's a little bit pricier than this, but you can utilize that more for high leverage situation. I used that. I bought the 17 of that tool. I will give you guys the part number down below, and that tool is my go-to for Isuzus because it does what it's made for. Let's go to the next item. Alright, so the next tool that I'm going to show you guys is just one of those tools that is hyped up by influencers in YouTube. So you guys got to be really careful of what these guys say, because they might sell their soul to the devil. I'm not gonna mention any names, but I'm just gonna tell you guys that the realest tool person in YouTube is CP the Tool Addict, because he will tell you what it is. He has experience. He used to be a tool dealer too, and he has just a multitude of tools with no bias. And I should have took that as a note, learning from his videos, that when it comes to tools, you gotta think about it if you really need it or it's just a hype up tool. And this is one of those tools right here, the Tribals Tools O2 sensor set. I have a couple of videos that's posted on Instagram on my story, and it does the job, but sometimes it can be finicky when you put this sensor right here and then you start ratcheting, and you got it loose enough. When it's loose, it won't ratchet anymore. So now you're gonna have to hold the thing, right, and then kind of do that. And I don't know about you guys, when it comes to sensor sockets, or when it comes to breaking loose a sensor, all you got to do is break. Once you break it, you can only if you use a sensor socket, you can just lift it up, put it on, and probably 2 or 3 times, 4 at most, and you probably good enough to just use your hand, and it's more convenient that way. So I'm not saying that Tribals tool doesn't work as it should, but it's $150 for a tool that does one thing, and it does it mediocre. If it does it really good, maybe it's worth its money, maybe it will pay for itself. But if it only does one thing okay or mediocre, then I would just suggest give a pass on this and just use a sensor socket, or buy a sensor socket from Gear Wrench, which is $50 with 4 sets of 6 different kinds of sets of sensor sockets for $50 to $75, depends on where you buy it. But I think that's way more than this Tribals tools. I think this tools is overhyped. I don't care what you say. If you're an influencer, you know, you can hate me, you can follow me, I don't care. But all I'm saying is this is overhyped. You should go pass on this. If you are newer tech, you don't need this. Just get a sensor socket, and that will last you for a while. Another one, the tool that I thought I'm gonna use it a lot because working on radiators, and I have high hopes for this tool because it just looks like it's gonna work at first view, or first sight at least, is the Blue Point hose pliers. I never use them at all. I try using it once, and I don't know, it just never works for me. I'd rather use a regular plier, slip joint plier from Snap-on, the high leverage ones, than using this, because I don't think it's even doing its job or what it's supposed to do. And I mean, I paid like $100 for this, but I could have at least just used it for something. But I do keep this in the house and probably use it when I'm working on my car one of these days, but I don't think I'm ever going to use it for work because I don't know, it just takes more time than using an actual regular slip joint plier or a plier. And I remember what Journeyman said. He told me, like, when it comes to radiator hoses, just use what works for you, especially on the clamps, because some people use different kind of stuff, and they suggest the ratcheting one, they suggest the slip joint ones, they suggest the Nipex ones. But when it comes to that, it's all about your preferred use of a tool, not, you know, the other guys' advice. So the last but not the least waste of money, and it's not really a particular tool, but it can help for automotive guys, but for the truck guys, we don't need this. We don't really need this ever. And that's the grip mat, the grip, all the silicone tool holder. For automotive guys, maybe you guys will need this because you guys work on fenders, and I get it, you guys don't want to damage the customer's car, or you guys are working on interior and you don't want to damage the leather or make the interior dirty, and keep your tools accountable, and you know, fasteners. Maybe for the tool guys this is not a waste of money, but for me as a truck guy or the heavy industry guys, I don't think you need this. You can pass up on this. I think a regular baking tray with a magnet would have been helpful than this thing. And they're not cheap either. This grip tee is actually the cheapest. The grip tee, for $50, you can get the medium one and the small one. And the grip mat is the most expensive one because they want you to pay $120 for a 12 by 10 silicone thing with another one. It's a set. So do you really need that kind of stuff? Maybe if you're in a tool industry, but for us diesel guys, heavy industry, forklift mechanic, we don't need that. We just need a pan that holds our bolts and nuts, or a tool maybe, but other than that, we don't need this. And I feel like this is just tacky when every time I have it in the shop, and people ask me all the time, what is this, what is that? I was like, oh, it holds tools and it doesn't slip when you put it in the mirror. First of all, why would you put tools in a windshield? Like, are you an idiot? I don't know, that's just my perspective. But one of those tools, it's overhyped, like the Tribals tools. Be careful on the hype, guys. Buy what you need, not the hype, because that's how you lose money as a beginning tech. And take it from me, all these tools right here, this 3 tools right here are overhyped, and I feel like because I got influenced basically. I didn't need to buy this. I bought this when it just came out, and I bought this when it just came out. I bought this because I thought I was gonna need it, but at the end of the day, it's about what you need and what works for you. These tools might work for you, but in my perspective, these tools can be passed on, and you can sleep on it and think about if you really need it, if you're really going to use it, or will the tool pay for itself. The last tool on my list is not particularly with me, but it's actually my Snap-on Toolbox KCP 1422, and I love the box. I love the top box that has the dog liner with the power outlet. I love all of that, but I could have passed on that and buy a Maximizer tool cart or a Snap-on sliding top tool cart, because the tool cart is what I use every day, and on my shop we don't have our own bay. Sometimes we actually work outside because we just that busy and we have a lot of down trucks. So a tool cart would have been really useful for me on this situation, but a tool cart is the best thing for a apprentice or a newer guy to buy, like a decent one, a really good one, because a really good tool cart will last you throughout your career if you decided to stay in this industry, or if you decided not to stay in this industry, because buying a really big toolbox on the beginning of your career is just a waste of money, because you don't really use that much tools when you're beginning in the industry. You just use the things that you need for now, and then you'll go from there, and as years or months go by, you start adding up to it. But most of the time, you're just buying tools that you need at the beginning of your career. And I know I'm about to repeating myself, but you guys seen this on my story already, and I'm emphasizing on this because one of the biggest mistakes I've had. I could have bought a really good tool cart and just buy a Husky or Milwaukee toolbox that works, you know. And because in the end of the day, toolbox is just a toolbox. It just holds tools. But a decent tool cart will last you a while, and it will serve you well and pay for itself, because you use it every day. You have the things that you need. You don't have to keep going back to your toolbox when you're in like bay 24 and your toolbox is on bay 1. So especially on the big jobs, yes, you have your basic things in your tool cart, your small tool cart, like a Harbor Freight 5-drawer tool cart. That's good for a beginner, but I would suggest just getting a really good one. So everything that you need daily and most likely to use, it's gonna be there. Because right now my tool cart is really full. Every Snap-on, Matco is behind on their toolboxes right now, and I ordered my toolbox mid-November. I still haven't got mine. My tool cart is stacking up on each other, and I'm getting tired of going back and forth to my toolbox just to get the things that I usually need. Not I really need, or the things I use every day. It's just I usually need. Some of the things like PDI, I can't even fit a torque wrench, a 1/2 inch and a 3/8 torque wrench on my toolbox, because it's just way too small for me to put there, and I don't use it every day, so I might just put on a toolbox. So when I need it, I just get in my toolbox. But then again, that's a walk. When you walk to your toolbox, that's a loss of efficiency. If you have a good tool cart, it's right there with you. Bam, get to work. So that is about it for my video. I hope you guys learned my lesson, and some of the tools that you're gonna see in the future, just try to sleep on it, and don't be that guy who buys the latest tools but don't really need it. And that's kind of like me sometimes, because I bought some of the tools like I rarely even use. Like the Venom induction, I honestly used that 2-3 times, and should I slept on it? No, but sometimes you got that extra money and you got an addiction, you just buy it anyway. So that's about it for my video, guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, click that subscribe button, like the video, Any comments on the video, part numbers, just comment it and I'll give it to you right away. Once again, this is Tyrone Trinity, the Diesel Soldier, reminding you guys that knowledge is a tool, use it wisely. Out.